3 minutes ago, Harry received the call that ended his royal life forever. Catherine had ordered every royal home locked to him: Kensington, Windsor, Balmoral, Sandringham. No keys, no access, no return. Harry stood speechless as the future Queen's decree stripped him of every door he once called home. This isn't subtle family tension. This is total banishment by the woman who will one day be Queen. Tonight we reveal the hidden war that forced Catherine to lock her brother-in-law out of the entire crown, and why Harry may never step inside again. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The call came without warning on a quiet afternoon in California. Harry picked up, expecting perhaps a routine update from the palace. Instead, an aide's voice read the decree with cold precision: all royal residences are now closed to the Duke of Sussex indefinitely. Kensington, Windsor, Balmoral, Sandringham, every door he had once walked through freely was now sealed against him. Harry's face froze on the leaked audio that captured the moment, his breath catching, eyes widening in disbelief as the words sank in. He didn't speak at first. He couldn't. The man who had once been the spare to the throne now heard his sister-in-law, the future Queen, erase him from every home that had defined his life. The palace reacted instantly with full lockdown at all estates. Doors were secured, keys changed, security protocols updated in frantic waves across the country. Phones rang off the hook with desperate calls to California, aides scrambling to contain the fallout, while the news spread like fire through every corridor. An insider close to Harry later revealed the raw moment that followed the reading. When the prince finally found his voice in a broken whisper, "She actually did it." That single sentence carried years of pain, confusion and betrayal, hanging in the air like a plea no one could answer. The lockout had not come from nowhere. It was the explosive result of a secret family summit that had taken place only days earlier, a tense gathering where grievances long buried finally boiled over. 3 hidden reasons had pushed Catherine to the edge, reasons she could no longer tolerate Harry's presence near the royal homes. The first was the growing fear that his independence was pulling focus from the slimmed-down monarchy she and William envisioned for George. The second involved alleged attempts to influence family narratives in ways that felt like betrayal to Catherine. The third cut deepest of all echoes of past family wounds that Catherine refused to let reopen under any circumstances. Each reason had festered in silence, until the future Queen decided the only way forward was complete exclusion from every royal residence. The air inside those ancient walls thickened with dread. Harry remained locked in shock across the ocean. The sister-in-law he once trusted, now the architect of his deepest banishment. The family that had once gathered in perfect unity now stood fractured by a single decree. Success for the crown demanding the deepest suffering of its own blood. But this lockout didn't happen overnight. It was forged in years of buried resentment that finally exploded in private. Catherine was always the composed one, the future Queen who smiled and stayed above the fray. But behind closed doors a poisonous rift grew, fueled by Harry's independence and Catherine's growing protectiveness. Private letters, deleted texts and explosive arguments reveal how the Princess of Wales came to see Harry as a threat to George's future. Tonight we read the words that turned quiet affection into cold exclusion and show the moment Catherine decided every royal door must close to him. The arguments began in the dead of night, when the palace slept and no one could hear. Catherine's voice would rise in the quiet rooms of Kensington. Sharp and unrelenting, "Harry will ruin the next generation." Each warning carried the weight of a woman who saw George's future slipping away, her eyes burning with a fear she could no longer hide. William would listen at first, pleading for understanding, but the distance only widened until those calls became battlegrounds where love and duty collided without mercy. Those late-night clashes left scars that never showed in public, yet they deepened with every passing month until the air between them grew thick with unspoken accusations. In the quiet aftermath of one especially brutal confrontation, Catherine poured her heartbreak into a private diary, the pages trembling under her pen. "Harry is lost to us," she wrote. The ink smudged by tears she refused to let fall in front of anyone. "He chose her over everything, and I fear he will destroy what remains for George." Those words captured the exact moment Catherine understood the shift. Harry was no longer the brother-in-law she had once protected. He had become the threat standing in the way of the slimmed-down monarchy she and William envisioned for their son. Secret texts between Catherine and William revealed the same growing distrust, messages passed in the dead of night when no one else could see. Catherine would write of mounting concerns, and William would reply with quiet agreement, the two of them slowly aligning against the independence Harry refused to surrender. The exchanges were clipped, urgent, laced with the fear that one prince's freedom could cost the entire institution its future. Harry never saw those messages, yet their shadow hung over every conversation, turning sister-in-law against brother-in-law in ways no public smile could hide. The inner conflict tore William apart in ways no outsider could see. He loved Harry with a fierceness that defined him, yet the pull of duty and the monarchy refused to release its grip. Nights became battles within his own heart, loyalty to his brother, clashing against loyalty to the wife who carried the future heir. Success in one direction meant suffering in the other, and the weight of that choice slowly crushed the joy out of him. Then came the unsent letter Catherine wrote, but never delivered, the one that still shocks with its venom. In careful handwriting she called Harry dangerous to George, warning that his choices would leave nothing but ruin in their wake. The words were never mailed, yet they existed, proof that the future queen had already crossed a line in her mind. Publicly the family still smiled for cameras, arms around shoulders, unity on display. Privately the venom had already poisoned everything, turning shared history into something cold and unrecognizable. That final incident wasn't just personal, it threatened the entire future of the monarchy. Catherine didn't lock Harry out on a whim. A single explosive incident hidden until now convinced her he could no longer be trusted near any royal home. From leaked conversations to alleged attempts to influence the children's upbringing, the evidence piled up until the Princess of Wales had no choice. We expose the backroom crisis that forced a sister-in-law to bar her brother-in-law from every estate, and why the monarchy is now in open crisis. The crisis meeting unfolded in a small, locked room at Kensington Palace, the kind reserved for decisions too dangerous for daylight. Catherine sat at the head of the table, face carved from stone, and declared with quiet finality, no more access. No raised voice. No visible anger. Just the calm certainty of a woman who had weighed every consequence and found no other path. The table held a thin stack of sealed files, each one a testament to boundaries crossed and trust eroded. 3 specific threats stared back at her in black and white. First, leaked conversations where Harry allegedly discussed family secrets in ways that felt like deliberate betrayal to Catherine. Second, documented attempts to influence the children's upbringing through private channels, moves that pulled George and his siblings toward narratives outside palace control. Third, the most dangerous of all subtle suggestions that the next generation could redefine royal duty on their own terms. Changes that threatened the sacred symbolism Catherine had sworn to protect for her own children. William felt the emotional toll most acutely, caught in the merciless crossfire between his brother and his wife. He pushed hardest for the lockout in private conversations, voice low and urgent, convinced that allowing Harry near the homes would signal weakness at the monarchy's core. Yet every time he spoke, the strain showed in his eyes a man torn between brotherly love and the quiet grief of watching the family fracture further. The contrast was brutal. Success for the heir demanded the deepest suffering of his own brother, and that bargain left him hollow in the quiet hours. Secret recordings surfaced next, fragments of conversations where Harry allegedly discussed family secrets with quiet insistence. The words were measured, almost reasonable on the surface, yet they carried an edge that made Catherine's blood run cold. He spoke of shaping the narrative, of ensuring continuity through independence, phrases that sounded like freedom to him, but sounded like defection to the Princess of Wales. An insider who had witnessed Catherine's breaking point finally spoke, voice thick with regret as he recounted the moment her composure cracked. She read the transcripts and said, "No more access," the witness remembered. Not angry, just certain. Like she had seen the end of something she could never get back. That certainty turned grief into cold decision, the kind that leaves no room for negotiation. Catherine maintained her calm public face through every appearance that followed, every wave steady, every smile measured, while the fury burned inside like a slow fire no one else could see. The contrast was excruciating, a future queen protecting the heir at the cost of her brother-in-law's place. Success forged from personal ruin. The decree had been forged in shadows, but its delivery would be far crueler than anyone could have predicted. The delivery of that lockout was colder than anyone imagined, and it left Harry in total silence. Harry answered the call expecting routine family news. Instead, he heard the decree, every royal home now barred to him forever. The historian's evidence shows Harry tried to fight back in real time, only to be met with silence. Tonight we replay the exact seconds that broke the prince who once called those homes his own. The call connected on the second ring, Harry's voice casual at first. Then, the aide's tone shifted, reading the decree with cold precision. All royal residences are now closed to the Duke of Sussex indefinitely. Frame by frame, the moment reveals itself in merciless detail. Harry's face freezing mid-sentence, eyes widening in slow horror, breath catching as the words sank in. Kensington, Windsor, Balmoral, Sandringham, every door he had once walked through freely, now sealed against him. His mouth parted slightly, searching for air that would not come. Hands tightening around the phone until his knuckles whitened. No sound escaped at first. The prince who had once laughed in those halls now stood utterly silent, the future queen's decree erasing him from every home that had defined his life. He didn't hang up immediately. Instead, he tried to fight back, voice cracking on the first word. This can't be real. Desperation poured through every syllable, raw and pleading. He begged for William, for any chance to explain, to negotiate, to salvage something from the wreckage. The aide listened without interruption, then delivered Catherine's icy reply through the line. The decision is final. No warmth, no regret, just 4 words that landed like a blade. The call ended abruptly, leaving Harry staring at the screen, chest heaving, the silence louder than any rejection ever spoken. Meghan learnt the news through a close friend who had been monitoring palace feeds. Her private devastation leaked out in hushed fragments, tears in a locked room, hands covering her face. The quiet question, how could she do this to us? The pain was intimate and merciless. She had stepped into this family believing love could bridge any divide, only to watch that belief shattered by a single decree. The contrast burned. A woman who once carried hope now witnessed the same exclusion she had fought against. Every home and connection severed as though they had never mattered. Harry's inner rage collapsed into crushing grief in the hours that followed. He paced the California house alone, the fire that had fueled his independence turning inward until it consumed him. Rage flared hot at Catherine, at the crown, at the silence that answered every plea, then crumbled into sorrow so deep it stole his breath. The man who had once stood tall against armies now walked like someone carrying an invisible weight that grew heavier with each step. The public facade cracked wide open as he stepped outside alone, shoulders hunched. The prince who had once been unbreakable, now visibly broken. The family that had once gathered in those homes now stood fractured by a single command, success for the crown demanding the deepest suffering of its own blood. Yet even this total banishment carried a deeper shadow, one that reached back into wounds no one had dared name aloud. That ghost of Diana wasn't just in Catherine's mind, it haunted the entire family more than anyone knew. Catherine saw Harry as the echo of everything that once hurt Diana. New documents reveal private notes where she compared their paths and decided history could not repeat for George. The historian exposes the comparisons that turned protection into permanent lockout and why Harry was left utterly speechless. The historian's voice dropped to a broken whisper as he lifted the private notes Catherine had written in the dead of night, pages filled with a future queen's trembling handwriting that no one outside the inner circle had ever seen. In careful, pained script, she had linked Harry to Diana's pressures. The forces she believed had exploited his mother's vulnerability and left her isolated in the very institution meant to protect her. He mirrors the same fracture. One entry read, "The ink heavy with old grief." The same independence that once swallowed Diana, now threatening George. Each line dripped with unresolved trauma, the kind that turns protective love into something colder, harder, more final. The historian read them aloud, voice cracking under the weight, and the room seemed to grow smaller, the air thicker, as if Diana herself were listening from the shadows. Then came the letter, the one that tied Harry to his mother's pain, in a way that still steals breath. The historian unfolded it slowly, letting every sentence land like a fresh wound. Catherine had written it after a sleepless night, pouring out the fear that history was repeating itself in her brother-in-law's life. Harry brings the same light that once drew people to Diana, she confessed on the page, but also the same shadows that destroyed her, and I will not let them touch George. Harry had never seen those words, yet when they finally reached him through the revelations, the impact left him utterly speechless. The sister-in-law he had once trusted had been carrying this comparison in silence, letting it fester until it justified locking every royal door against him. Specific moments rose from the documents like knives. Harry's confident public speeches, his bold choice of causes far from palace walls, even the way he stood beside Meghan at events, all allegedly triggered Catherine's deepest trauma, reminding her of the media circus that once swallowed Diana. Each time William rushed to defend his brother, the words fell on deaf ears. "He is not her," William pleaded in reconstructed conversations, voice raw with desperation. But Catherine only shook her head, eyes distant, haunted by memories no amount of loyalty could erase. The defense crumbled under the weight of unresolved grief, leaving Harry more isolated than ever before. The guilt that haunted Catherine afterward was merciless. She sat alone in the days after signing the decree, staring at old photographs of Diana, tears she refused to let anyone see finally breaking free. Success for the heir now demanded the deepest suffering of her brother-in-law, and that bargain tore at her in ways no crown could ever heal. Yet she held firm, convinced that protecting George meant sacrificing the harmony she could no longer afford. Camilla's quiet influence had pushed the Diana parallel harder than anyone realized. Subtle comments in private settings, gentle reminders of past pain, all steered Catherine toward the decision that would lock Harry out forever. Her words planted seeds that grew into the decree, turning personal memory into institutional necessity. The ghost of Diana now darkened every home, whispering through every decision and every silence. With Diana's shadow darkening every home, Catherine took one final irreversible step. The decree didn't stop at one call, it locked Harry out of every royal residence forever. Fresh leaks show the order extends to the children, to holidays, to anything bearing the crown's name. We reveal the exact document, and the moment Harry realized Catherine had erased him completely. The monarchy is now in open crisis. The document arrived without ceremony. A single page slipped under Harry's door at Frogmore in the dead of night, its legal wording carved like a death sentence across crisp white paper. Effective immediately and in perpetuity, the Duke of Sussex and all dependents are prohibited from access to any royal residence, including Kensington Palace, Windsor Castle, Balmoral, Sandringham, and any property bearing the insignia or authority of the Crown. This exclusion extends to holidays, private gatherings, school events, and all future activities involving the heir or any royal line. The language left no air to breathe, no loophole to grasp. 3 specific exclusions shocked even the most hardened insiders. First, the children were barred from every future royal holiday Christmas at Sandringham, summers at Balmoral, the private family escapes that had once bound generations. Second, no school events or milestone celebrations could include Harry or Meghan, stripping them of the ordinary moments that define family legacy. Third, any charity work or public appearance linked to the crown was severed, erasing the last threads of official connection Harry had clung to. Each loss felt personal, a piece of identity ripped away by the sister-in-law who would one day wear the crown. Harry read the decree with trembling hands, the paper fluttering as his breath caught on the final clause that sealed everything. He tried to negotiate in frantic calls that followed, voice raw with urgency, begging Catherine for even 5 minutes to explain, to plead, to find some middle ground that might spare the children at least. Each attempt was met with cold silence or a single clipped reply from an aide. The decision is final. Rejection after rejection piled on until Harry's frantic efforts collapsed into silence. He sat staring at the page, shoulders shaking, the breakdown coming fast and merciless as the reality sank in. Catherine had erased him completely, and no amount of blood or history could undo it. Palace staff moved in panic as copies circulated through secure channels. Aides whispered in corridors, deleting messages, locking files, faces pale with the realization that the order had just torn the family in two. Phones buzzed non-stop with damage control orders, while the institution that once prided itself on unity now fractured under the weight of one princess's resolve. Catherine maintained her cold resolve through every appearance that followed, every wave steady, every smile measured, while the family around her fractured in real time. She showed no hesitation, no flicker of doubt, only the unyielding certainty that protecting George meant sacrificing the harmony she could no longer afford. The contrast was excruciating. Success for the heir demanded the deepest suffering of her brother-in-law, and that bargain left the entire monarchy trembling on the edge. Yet even this total lockout was not the final blow. The historian had held one last archive in reserve, a folder whose contents could ignite a war no one inside the palace could contain. The historian knew releasing the full truth would ignite war, so he saved the most devastating revelation for last. The historian risked everything to expose this lockout. Death threats, lost friends, palace pressure he paid dearly. Tonight we learn the personal cost, and the one unforgivable secret that forced Catherine's hand. This is the man who lit the fuse under the entire monarchy. In his final interview, the historian sat under dim light, shoulders heavy with the burden he had carried alone for years. His voice trembled as he confessed the truth that had driven him to burn every bridge, a distant but undeniable blood tie to the royal family itself. Through a great-aunt who once served in the late Queen's household, he had grown up inside the whispered stories of duty, sacrifice, and the hidden costs no crown could ever erase. That connection turned every document he unearthed into a knife turned inward. "I am not an outsider," he said, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I am part of this story whether I wanted to be or not." The admission carried decades of guilt, the shame of knowing too much and staying silent too long, until Catherine's lockout decree forced him to choose truth over loyalty. The secret incident that finally made Catherine issue the decree was the one the historian had guarded most fiercely. Fresh files revealed Harry had allegedly discussed rewriting family history in a private conversation, suggesting changes that echoed the very fractures Catherine feared would destroy George's future. Catherine saw it as history repeating itself in the most painful way possible, a deliberate reopening of wounds she had spent her life trying to close. That single moment shattered whatever fragile hope remained for family harmony, turning protection into permanent lockout of every royal home. The historian's voice cracked completely as he described the night he smuggled the archive out under threat of arrest, copying the last pages in a dimly lit storage room, while every footstep sounded like pursuit. Discovery would have ended his career, his safety, possibly his life. Yet he kept going because the truth, once seen, could not be unseen. Death threats arrived within hours of the first leak, voices on the phone promising ruin if he continued. Palace pressure mounted through quiet channels. Access revoked. Friends warned away. He lost everything he had built, yet the support that began pouring in from the shadows kept him standing. Unexpected messages from minor royals, encrypted notes of quiet solidarity, even one handwritten letter from a senior figure who wrote simply, "You have said what we never could." Those small acts of courage lifted him when isolation threatened to swallow him whole. Camilla's team moved desperately to discredit him, leaking stories of grudges and financial motives, painting the historian as a bitter outsider chasing fame. The smears only proved how deeply the revelations had struck, how close the palace had come to collapse. The monarchy now stood on the edge of its ultimate reckoning, every secret exposed, every wound reopened. With every secret now in the open, the palace faces its moment of truth, and the family may never heal. The palace is in lockdown. Catherine stands firm. Harry remains silent in California. The decree is public, and every royal home is now closed to him. Tonight we forecast the endgame: permanent exile, constitutional crisis, or total family collapse. One truth is undeniable after this lockout: the House of Windsor will never be whole again. The fallout erupts the instant the decree reaches public view. Calls for Catherine to reconsider swell from quiet establishment voices, then roar across every platform as ordinary people, former courtiers, and even distant relatives demand she reverse the ban before the fracture becomes irreversible. The pressure builds in relentless waves, editorials pleading for mercy, petitions gathering hundreds of thousands of signatures, commentators warning that barring Harry from every royal residence risks turning the monarchy into a symbol of cruelty rather than continuity. Yet Catherine stands unyielding, her private resolve hardening into something unbreakable. In sealed meetings, she repeats the same vow to trusted aides: the heir comes first. Always. That promise carries the full weight of every lesson carved into her by loss, by duty, by the memory of a family legacy she now guards at all costs. Harry's possible next move hangs over the palace like smoke before a firestorm. Insiders whisper of legal action suits challenging the lockout decree, claims of unlawful exclusion from family property, demands for due process that could drag the crown into open courtrooms where no title holds power. Others speak of a final public statement, raw and unfiltered, that might force dialogue or ignite even greater division. Yet silence has become Harry's only answer so far, a silence born of shock, grief, and the dawning realization that his sister-in-law has chosen the throne over the bond they once shared. Every day that passes without a word from him tightens the noose around the family narrative, turning private heartbreak into public spectacle that no palace statement can contain. The global media storm has already reached fever pitch. Networks loop the leaked decree on endless cycles. Analysts trace every timeline. Commentators predict collapse or rebirth. Headlines in a dozen languages scream division, exile, betrayal. The story has grown larger than the monarchy itself, feeding a hunger for truth that no official denial can satisfy. Possible court battles loom over the lost access legal teams already circling, arguing precedent, human rights, the limits of royal prerogative. Each case could force the crown into humiliating disclosures, exposing internal documents, private conversations, wounds no one intended to show the world. In the midst of the chaos arrives one last, fragile plea for reconciliation. An emotional letter from a senior royal identity, shielded but pain unmistakable, circulates quietly among family members. The words tremble with desperation. "We have already lost so much. Do not let us lose each other." It begs Catherine to reconsider, Harry to speak, the family to remember the love that once held them together through every storm. Yet even as the letter spreads, its hope feels thin against the weight of accumulated betrayals. Success for the crown now rests on the deepest suffering of its own bloodline, and that bargain leaves scars no apology can heal. Catherine's final private vow echoes through the silence, spoken to a trusted aide in the aftermath. "I will protect what George needs, no matter the cost." The words carry the full weight of a future queen who has chosen legacy over harmony, while Harry's continued absence speaks louder than any statement ever could. The historian delivers his closing warning with quiet, unshakable certainty: duty always costs blood. Those 5 words land like a final verdict, summing up the brutal reality that has divided sister-in-law from brother-in-law, future king from his own blood, and institution from individual. The monarchy stands exposed, stripped of illusion, every crack illuminated by the relentless light of truth. The screen holds on Catherine and Harry, one resolute, one shattered, their faces frozen in the moment everything changed. Then darkness falls, leaving only 4 stark words burning white against the void: the throne divided. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.